Time for the Mayo Jam.
Hello, friends. My name is Pooja Kothari, and I'm the host for this episode of the Mayo Jam podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, our very own Deepika Agarwal from the batch of 2011. Deepika has just cleared the UPSC exams with an All India rank of 151. And we are going to be talking to her about her days at Mayo and her journey with the UPSC exam and now her plans for a career in the IPS. Hi, Deepika, and welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Pooja. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
We are so proud of you, and we are so happy that all the effort that you've put in across the past 3-4 years have, sort of succeeded and you've got where you have. So many congratulations from your very own sisterhood.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Tell me, it seems like a good place to start. I typically start on the Mayo journey with guests, but this is the first time I've got a very newly minted, civil services officer right across me. So let's start there.
Right.
How do you go from being, sort of your journey, let's put it that way, from Mayo to UPSC?
I think Mayo sort of actually provided me this. I come from Sikkim, so I came from a very protected background. Mayo sort of actually provided me that springboard into the world outside Sikkim. So there I fortunately performed well in my board exams and then got through the Sri Ram College of Commerce. So I did commerce there, and after commerce I went into investment banking, a very typical choice for a commerce graduate. Yeah. So I was at Barclays for some time, but while I was there, something within me, that feeling when you come back home and that satisfaction from your job was certainly missing. So then I started, searching, looking out, what should I do? What is it that I'm really interested in or passionate about? And I think working for people. So even while I was at SRCC, I had started up a little social enterprise in college. So I think that was one area or just making people, bringing smile to people's lives. I think if I have to put it easily, I think that is something that I really enjoyed. And policy and governance, because I used to watch a lot of parliamentary debates with my grandfather when I was young. So policy and politics was another area which was an area of interest. So I happened to get through a fellowship program called the Legislative Assistance to Members of Parliament. So I was a LAMP fellow to Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia then. So I worked with him for a year, and I think that is where I truly realized that this is the area that I want to sort of spend my life in, and this is the area I want to work in. Post that, but I did still go and finish my MBA because Indian parents they always want they were really scared when I told them I wanted to write the exam, so they were like, you at least finish your higher education first. So I did my MBA from the Indian School of Business. I was good at finance, so I picked up finance there. I went to ISB, finished ISB, and then just worked for some time. But then I had made up my mind that now I need to jump into the deeper end of things and start preparation. This was my third attempt. So then the whole journey of the last 4 years started. A very arduous journey, but thankfully I'm here now.
You really like studying, don't you?
Looks
first for an MBA, then for the UPSC. Let me sort of just summarize this for our listeners. So it was SRCC after Mayo. So that's 3 years of BCom.
Yes.
Then from there
you're going to make everyone guess my age. So
no, not at all. Okay, forget that then. How long did you stay in the corporate sector?
I have worked for 4 years. So after ISB also I worked for a year. I was a consultant with the government of Haryana. So I worked in the education sector. I did a project with UNICEF with women in Jhajjar and Rohtak. So I have some background in the social sector. And recently, after my mains, I joined a venture capital firm, Midya Network India. So I worked for ONI for 6 months. I had some time at hand. So And there I did impact investing. So I used to do investing in the urban development sector. So I am familiar with the social space, and I really enjoy working in it. And hopefully now into a service which provides me an opportunity to do more of that at a larger scale.
You look so happy, and you come across as somebody who's so happy with this whole decision that I really hope, touch wood, I mean,
No.
this is a fantastic career as an
a lot of
officer.
courage, honestly. But yeah, I'm at least happy that I made that decision, and yeah.
So you would have written the exam in November last year, right?
I wrote, yes, September last year.
Last year.
Yes,
and the result came out recently in May. So you had all of this.
No, the result came out, the written result came out in March. Then I had my interview call, the UPSC interview, which happened in April. Then the final result came out in May.
So you have this time in the interim to experiment with impact investing.
Yes.
Right? And how does it proceed from here?
From here, a couple of months down the line, I would be going to Labasna, which is the Administrative Training Academy in Missouri. Right. So there, all the officers from who belong to the IAS, IPS, all the different services, they are trained together for a foundational course. And after that, since at my rank, I'm likely to get the police services. So then most likely I would move to Hyderabad for my police services training. So
I see. So is that what your aim was? Police excites you?
Yes, absolutely. I think IAS and IPS. So for me, people excite me. I think working with people is what gives me satisfaction. So I think, between IAS and IPS, I was very excited. If I get either services, it gives me an opportunity to go down to the districts, work with people. So I think I'm very happy. So, and also I've always been a fan of women in khaki. So
I completely agree. We had, for our last Igniting Minds, we had Nivedita, who's again an IPS officer. And she was there on screen wearing her uniform. And we'd be very happy to make sure that you guys are introduced and that you have a kind of a mentor within the police network. She's a Mayoite and she's a police officer.
That would be great, Pooja.
That is fantastic. Now tell me something. Let's go back to Mayo. Because that is the reason why we are talking today. How did Mayo happen in your life?
So, as I said, I come from Sikkim, a very small town. The primary medium education there is good, but the senior secondary education, my parents wanted me to actually go and see how the outside world looks like. And I come from a family of first generation learners. Parents have some basic education, but they really value education. So I think they were very passionate about investing in their daughter's education. So, we came across Mayo. Fortunately, I got through the exam, the competitive exam, and joined Mayo. And then, of course, the time spent at Mayo, is a has a very, very special place in my heart. So, yeah,
you were there for 2 years, classes 11 and 12. That would be between 2009 and 2011.
Yes.
So that's so far ahead of my time. I was there 90 to 94. What was Mayo from your time like?
I'm sure it must be exactly like, even today when I go back and I look at the dorms, it actually feels like, you're transported back into the time. But, times were good. I think Mayo taught me a lot of things. I think one thing that I really credit Mayo for is the discipline it inculcated in me, because that discipline has stayed with me throughout this preparation and has really helped me. So, that whole routine, I started loving a routine kind of life. So, which is very important if you want to really achieve anything in life. So I think that is one very, very important learning. And of course, the fun, the excitement of living with so many people from different parts of the country. I absolutely started, enjoying different cultures of India, and all of that comes because of the fact that I've stayed with so many girls who come from all across the country. Absolutely. So, and of course at Mayo, I really enjoyed celebrating all festivals and, those little things, especially the last few months where, you are the SC batch and nobody says anything to you. So you can get away with a lot of things. I think, so that period was amazing.
You were Charumati house, right?
Yes. Yes,
So
yes.
Charu didn't even exist when
Oh,
I was at
yes, yes.
Mayo.
It's the newest. It was the newest.
It's
Yeah,
the youngest
yeah.
house, I believe.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
yes.
yes. And what was it like? I mean, which part of the whole, like you said, you loved the discipline, and there
Right.
was this whole part of being part of a dormitory of girls,
Yes,
and you had
yes.
this shared lives that you live. But
Right,
what
right.
else about Mayo? Did you participate in any, activities like horse riding,
Yes, no,
swimming,
no, no. So I was
instruments?
a debater. I did a lot of inter-school debates. I traveled to Wellams and Scindia. I won a lot of debates there. So I used to do a lot of debating. I did yoga there, and I participated in a lot of those competitions. Apart from that, I was a very studious. I'm sure you can make out by now. I was a very nerdy, studious
You love
girl.
your books.
I loved my books. I actually like dancing. I'm a Bharatnatyam dancer, but
I
at
see.
that time, of course, I was into study. I had to get through SRCC. I think that was my one
A big ambition then.
one ambition in mind. But I think apart from that, all the activities at Mayo, I really enjoyed participating in all the sports and that team spirit, those inter house competitions. And I remember,
Yes.
during those farewells, we used to actually compete with the other houses that our decoration is going to be. I remember our theme was paparazzi. So, we would prepare all of those farewell material and the fudge cake, of
Yes.
course. I think even after Mayo, like for the longest time, like I was not used to alarm clocks because someone would come and wake you up.
Yes.
We were really pampered. So,
Yeah.
just those little things about Mayo, the Maggie. I think I've never enjoyed Maggie as much as I have.
That's all of us. It's something
Yeah,
about the Mayo water supply, I think. I don't know why
yeah,
Maggie never tastes
absolutely.
as good anywhere else.
Anywhere else, and that one slice of pizza that you manage to eat when someone comes from the outing in the garden, hiding in the garden, I think that has a different taste. Like that hits you differently altogether.
So
So
contraband was stuck even in your time, clearly.
absolutely.
And what's the naughtiest memory that you have of Mayo?
Naughtiest. I was a very I think no. In the last few days, we climbed up. We went to the terrace, which was a no-go area, or did something like that. So I think that's the naughtiest thing. So the bar is really low, but that is the maximum that we
Yeah,
managed to do. Yeah.
And what about, like every year every batch rather has this crazy rumor or a crazy thing that, goes as gossip around. Do you remember
Oh,
any of that
there
from
were
your time?
lots of those. I remember sending chits. So I had a cousin at Mayo Boys. So
Acha.
yeah. So we would meet for the brothers meet. There used to be a brothers
Huh.
meet. So then I remember passing on chits to him. To So and all the buzz that goes around before the socials, that used to happen. So yeah, definitely remember those days.
Those days, yeah.
Yeah. But I
And
had a very special connection with my teachers at Mayo. Actually, they were, even now, I think. Unfortunately, we don't have Ma'am Anshu with us now, but
yeah.
like she passed away after I left. But she really played that mother figure in my life. Which of course,
Anshu was
because
my
I left.
batchmate.
Oh
Yes,
my
same
God! Oh
house,
my.
Padmini house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Ma'am Anshu, she used to. So, I was a commerce student, and she was used to teach very passionately. So, I used to always top the commerce class. So, she would always, she was that person. And then Ma'am Poonam and Ma'am Lata. I remember, before my board exams, like I went to Ma'am. It was on the day of the farewell. I was practicing math, and I was really scared if of maths. So I remember going to her and crying, and but the teachers at Mayo, like you just have to reach out to them. That's one thing about them. They really come out and help you and support you. I think all of them. I was very very studious, and I wanted to do well. I knew that I had to get through this XYZ college, and I think all of them really fueled that ambition or gave wings to that ambition. So
Ma'am Poonam helped us. I was her first batch, and I remember before the first, and I had, like you, I had commerce and accounts, and before our first board exam, because we were the first batch taking class 12, she came to the house in the evening to say, "Are you feeling confident? Are you all set? Is there any last minute doubt that I can clear for you?"
Yeah,
That kind
that's
of investment you don't see
that's
outside of Mayo.
Absolutely.
Yes. That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
What about in terms of, any other anecdotes, any batchmates, any songs that you remember from the prayer book? Something about Mayo that is still sort of special.
Prayer book. I actually like, there was a Saraswati Vandana. So Ma Saraswati Sharade. So I think that is a song that I
That
would
you
always.
remember.
Yeah.
All right, that's fantastic. Now let's go back to the whole, clearing UPSC is a big one, right? Everybody's, and you showed persistence. I remember reading this that the first time you didn't clear the prelims, the second
Right.
time you cleared the mains, and this is the third time where you've actually got the AIR 151. And this is fantastic perseverance, resilience, just stick to itiveness to the goal, whatever you want to call it, which I feel a lot of times we don't see around us. People give up a little too quickly. What
Right.
would you tell, the younger alumni, the girls in Mayo, that how is it to stick it out?
Look, if you're clear about your goal, if you know that, so which is why I say spend a little bit of time exploring what you really want to do. Because once you know that you're passionate about something, then it's difficult, but then it becomes slightly less difficult. I knew that public service, or I knew that this, being in the government provides me an opportunity which is unmatchable. So I was, every time I wanted to give up, I would just remember, my goal. And I think that really kept me going. And to the Mayo girls, I think, you have one of the finest trainings in the country. And, there is nothing that a Mayo girl cannot do. I think be it sports, be it fine arts, be it, painting. I see a lot of my batchmates, someone's into acting, someone's become a designer, someone's, so many creative fields, someone's into sports. So, you're receiving the best of training, and and perseverance is something that we are taught at Mayo from fourth standard. We've lived away from homes. We've, we are much more self-dependent as compared to your peers, because we are more highly emotionally intelligent as compared to, not to say that other people are not, but because we've lived in a community of girls, we are very sympathetic, we are very empathetic, we know how to share things, we know how to grow together as a tribe. So and we are very persistent. The inter-house competitions, I know the spirit with which we play in those competitions. So you just have to keep that spirit going, and I think our girls can achieve anything. So I know it's difficult, but just keep your dreams very close to yourself, and make a plan. I think I am a big supporter of discipline and having a plan. So once you have that, and you have your little milestones, walk, take one step at a time, and I'm sure you'll reach there.
I think that's true for a lot of us. All of us kind of small city girls who come from business families. I think Mayo is our first taste of a discipline, of a routine, of just making sure that we land up, following a timetable.
Absolutely.
Because our families don't operate like that.
They aren't like that. Yes. So,
and like you said, I think that's what helps. So how long, every day, how much would you study? What was your timetable like?
That's insane.
Insane.
You're going to prove me that this girl is a big nerd. But look, this exam, the syllabus is very wide. It's actually everything under the sun. Right. But it's very, very, I really enjoyed studying those subjects, from philosophy to ethics to, science. I was never into science, but now you can chat about Web 3.0, you can chat about Kantian philosophy, you can chat about, sociology. Like, it's a very interesting mix of different subjects, which I never had the opportunity to learn earlier. International relations, I developed my learning, my interest in that subject. So I think it's a lot of time, but I looked at this from, my mother, you would always tell me that, I would always tell her that what if I don't make it? Then she tells me, she would always tell me, look at this as a 3-year investment that you've made into yourself, into learning so much. If someone's going to have a conversation with you, you can carry, the way you're going to converse with the person is going to change completely. So I always kept that approach in mind. Of course, study hours varied. So before the mains, which is your the written papers. So before that, of course, it was insane. 16, 17 hours. I'd just wake up in the morning, have breakfast, sit down, and then I'll just take a couple of breaks in the day, and it'll go on till 3 a.m. at night. But of course, at the rest of the times, it was around 10 to 12 hours. But that's important to because this exam is a big equalizer. In the sense, you may be an IIT and you may have come from SRCC, but the design of the exam is such that everyone has to put in those number of hours. There's someone who's coming from a backward village, he or she is also able to compete with you equally. So it requires that kind of rigorous preparation, which is good, which prepares you for what is to come, hopefully, in the job. So
So what are your aspirations from the job? What are your expectations from the job? I know you say IPS, but IPS is such a broad thing, right?
Yes.
A lot of people serve the role very differently.
Yes.
So how do you see yourself sort of?
I see myself as a compassionate officer, as a compassionate IPS officer, an IPS officer with a human face. I think, that in India, people still perceive the police services as with that colonial relic in mind of that distant. They still, there's still some gap in the trust that they have in the system. So I want to be an officer who's reachable to people, who people don't hesitate to come to. So I want to become an officer who can encourage women to speak up, to report crimes, and of course be stern, but also be sympathetic at the same time. So that's the kind of officer I want to become.
Is there a little bit of hesitation also because of all these stories that you hear about,
Not
the political interference, about careers getting affected?
Not at all. Not at all. Because I think there is what we see in popular media is a very small part of what actually happens. I mean, Absolutely. Only the juicy, the gossipy parts of Yes. But actually, if you can work with the elected representatives, you can really make, because they really have a very good understanding of people. They're the chosen leaders. So if you can really work well with the political executives, you can make a true difference into people's lives. I may have come from my own privileged background, but there's someone who's been elected by the people. So, barring those few stories of, political interference and all of those things, I think, I am not scared at all. I think I would be equipped enough.
Yes. Very happy to hear that. In fact, what's really happy is good is what one is seeing for the last 2 years now, that all the top ranks are women. And this year, I believe a lot more women have made it. So, that's what you want. You want a slightly you want more diversity, and you want a slightly different kind of mind, now getting into the services, who's thinking differently, connecting the dots differently.
Especially in the IPS. I mean,
yes.
Especially in the IPS, we need more women, because every field that women go into, they bring a very different perspective, even not only in terms of crime related to women, but also in terms of investigation, intelligence, the way that a woman's mind works. I think that has a lot of value addition, and that can be of a lot of value to the country. So I'm glad I will be having more female batchmates. So.
Yeah, and we are very happy that, one of ours is going. I mean, see, ultimately it's about, I'm hoping that they see Nivedita, they see you, and then there'll be a lot more girls who are willing to put in that kind of effort and say, this is what we want to do, and that's what we want. Imagine you come back to Ajmer if you do get Rajasthan cadre and you are there. I mean...
No, that would be fantastic. And in fact, one of my SRCC batchmates was posted in Ajmer, so I would see his posts and reminisce, and and hopefully if I get to know. But I definitely would love for more Mayo girls to take this risk, because right now, sitting at the other end of the spectrum, I can say it is worth the effort. Worth the effort, definitely.
So did you, in this journey of 3 years, did you ever want to kind of give it up, throw up your hands and say, this is just, I can't do it?
Oh, a lot of times. I'm not, a lot of times. I think that is where, those are the times where you lean on people who believe in you. So my mother, she really, really believed in me, like, especially after the second interview when I did not get a rank, like, and my next prelims was just 5 days later, after the result. And I really wanted to give up. I did not have the energy or the courage to walk, wake up and go and write that exam again. But she put me on a flight to Delhi and, took me, she sat outside the exam hall and she just told me, I know you can do it. I know it's just, the stroke of luck that it hasn't worked out this time. I don't care about anything. You just go and give it your best, one more time. So I think those are the times where you lean on people, your close friends, people who've really seen you work, because sometimes you start self-doubting, but the others around can see things more rationally. So actually my mother didn't let me cry after my results. She was like, you go give the prelims and after 5 days you can come back and cry. So after my prelims I came back home and I howled, but now in hindsight I'm really, really thankful she made me do that.
So what you're saying is, if you know that the journey ahead is tough, rope in a partner. It can be your mother,
yes.
It can be,
yes.
a friend.
Yes.
It can
have a backup plan. I think to become, being more practical here, backup plan always helps. So for me, doing that MBA, I'm going to enter the services a that bit later than a couple of my friends. But doing that MBA was really worth it, because it gave me the confidence that, okay, even if this doesn't work out, I have graduated from an excellent college, an excellent B school, I can definitely do something else. So I think taking those calculative, I wouldn't say that just go by emotions, because I know that, there are lots of, apart from, of course, the hard work, sometimes lady luck also has to be on your side. But once you know that you have a decent backup, it doesn't matter if you enter the services a couple of years later. I mean, at least I knew that gave me a lot of solace during preparation, that it's okay, I can make a good life, I can still serve people, even if this doesn't work out. So I think having the backup and of course, doing things which keeps your mental health well, pursuing some hobbies, being close to people who believe in you. I think those are some things that you should actively do to be persistent and sustain in the long run. So.
Yeah, I hope the people listening in are, inspired and encouraged by that really good advice. How does it fit in with personal plans? I mean, have you had to delay personal decisions because you were waiting for this to happen?
Right. No, everything that happens, like there is a cost involved with things. But then, I don't think about things too much. I know I had to delay a lot of personal things, but when it has to happen, when things have to happen, they happen. So I think God has given this to me at the right time so that I reach the right place. I'm a big believer. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
No rush. I don't actually put an age. I'm someone who doesn't believe in that age bar. My mother started up when she was 44. She now has a very successful business running. So I'm someone like who doesn't believe in that age gap, that this has to be done by this age, because at least in my community I know that there was a lot of marriage pressure. Oh my God, she's aging. Aren't you going to get her married? What is she doing in Delhi? But then my parents were like, okay, I mean, let her do her thing. I'm sure she'll find out her way. So
and you've had a fantastic role model in your mother. Somebody who encourages you, somebody who sets an example. So that's a fantastic, already start that one could have got. Now, one last thing I'm going to ask you. If you had to go back to that younger self of you at MCGS, knowing what you do know about life today, what is the one piece of advice that you would give her?
Oh my God, that's a difficult question, because I think I did things right at MCGS. I think I was very upright there. I was very disciplined. I was a very good child. But yeah, I would just tell myself that you can be a little more relaxed. I think I was always
have a little more fun.
Have a little more fun. Yeah. But
I think that happens. A lot of people feel that they were a bit too intense.
Right.
And when all the dominoes have lined up, then you feel like, oh, I could have been a little more.
Yeah. I could have leased out things without taking so much stress. But I think that's different people have different ways of dealing with things. And now I know that when I stress, my mother doesn't stress at all. She's like, this is your business as usual. Now I'm not stressing.
Are you friends with your batchmates from Mayo still?
Yes, absolutely. Recently attended a wedding of a Mayo friend of mine. So a lot of us got together. So of course,
that's fantastic. So you must remember that as you go and conquer newer mountains, that the Mayo Sisterhood is right here with you, for you, whatever you may need from us.
Thank you so much, Pooja. And the same, goes for me as well. I'm here. Any of my Mayo sisters who needs any help, guidance, always happy to help and always happy to contribute and give back to the school, which has given me so much. So
actually, we will take you up on that offer. You settle down, you get through your training and everything. So we have this annual program called the Igniting Minds every year, where we take alumni back to school to talk to the current students, tell them about careers, tell them about, their own journeys. So people, they glean insights and hopefully will not make our mistakes. They'll make newer ones. So we'd be happy to take you back. This August is too early. It happens around the founders every year. So next year we would love to have that, have you go back and talk to them.
I can come in my khaki then.
Absolutely. Share a photo with us the moment you get fitted out.
No, definitely, Pooja. But there's one last thing, Pooja, which I want to tell the girls because I'm here. Is because you've asked me what I would tell myself, is accept yourself, acceptance. Because when you're living with so many different girls, they would be, everyone would be different. Some would be into sports, someone would be more nerdy. So sometimes even I had those insecurities. Why am I so studious? Why am I not fun loving? Similarly, I'm sure there might be other girls who might be like, oh, why can't I study like her? So, just accept how you are. And it's fine. If you love sports, that's how you are. If you love music, that's how you are. If you're chatty, that's how you are. So I think learn to accept yourself. I think that's really the advice I would have given my younger self and to the other girls right now. Love yourself the way you are.
Yeah, that's a fantastic piece of advice, because I hear this a lot now when you talk about women. One of the big messages goes out is be kinder to yourself.
Yes.
Because the world puts so many expectations. We are forever second guessing ourselves, forever feeling insecure. So like you said, accept yourself, and I would add that be kind to yourself.
Absolutely. And to others.
Of course, and to others, but also be less demanding. You don't have to be superwoman, and do everything in the way that you do. But that's fantastic. Thank you so very, very, very much, and our best to you.
Thank you.
I hope the training works very well for you. I hope you meet somebody really interesting there. One has been hearing of a lot of those stories. So I hope that works for you as well.
Thank you.
In touch with the Alumni Association.
Absolutely.
We would love to be able to, have you back and have you talk to the girls.
Thank you. The pleasure would be all mine, honestly.
Fantastic.
Bye, Pooja. Thank you.
This podcast is brought to you by Mayo Girls Alumni Association. If you're a Mayoite and wish to participate, email us on mayocollegegirlsalumni@gmail.com.